Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's webinar on NBC 2025, Part 2, Section 8 of National Building Code. This is our second series and very important topic that we are talking. With me, I have very eminent members from experience and from the field of electrical community. So I would like to introduce why we are here because of National Federation of India for Electrical Safety, an association which is working hard to reach out to countrywide in talking about various standards and codes, conducting workshops. So very recently we completed 41st workshop in Coimbatore. In last 2 years, we have done over 50 workshops, physical workshops. So we have over 2,500 members and 11 chapters across the country. We are the only society for electrical engineer, widespread, I would say, pan-India society. And over the period, last 2 years, we have done over 82 webinars. In this year, this is the 14th webinar we are conducting. So why NFE? We are here to create awareness on electrical safety and fighting for today for better tomorrow. This is very specific to today's topic also, fighting today for better tomorrow. And what we do in NFE to make every electrical installation free of accidents such as electrocution and fire due to short circuits and increasing the reliability of the electrical installation. Our mission, we shall strive to achieve our vision through getting accredited for products and personal certification, which shall focus on electrical safety by design. Next, we have various membership opportunity for individual membership. We have for corporate, we have MSME, and we have two more, that is a student chapter and life membership. So as I said, we have over 2,500 members, and every day, every week, every month, we are growing as one of the largest society in the country. Today, our moderator is Mr. Gopakumar. He is an electrical engineer and founder of Cape Electric. He has actively contributed to national and international standard as a member of a key technical committee. These include BAS committees such as ETD 20, NEC 2023, IS 732, IS 3043, IS IEC 62305, ETD 30. He is also quite active in NFE as a president, and he's been traveling length and breadth, interacting with various engineers, understanding the cause of the electrical short circuit. With me, I have our General Secretary, Appavu Sir. He's a retired Chief Electrical Inspector of Tamil Nadu during 2015. He is a certified energy auditor and a freelancer in advancing an electrical safety and earthing practices. He presented a paper for India in Japan under the Indo-Japan Dialogue on Energy Conservation and has undergone training in Germany on calibration of reference electrical energy standard. We have a founding member, Ayman Sali sir, and is also quite active. He is also traveling length and breadth along with the International Copper Association. So he's retired from the electrical wing of PWD Government of Maharashtra. After 39 years of experience or service, he held the position including electrical inspector, executive engineer, and superintendent engineer with significant experience in interpreting and implementing electricity laws, investigating electrical accident, and designing and maintaining electrical installation in government building. He served on BAS committees and contributed to drafting important regulations. Post-retirement, working as a technical advisor for the Ministry of Roads, Highway and Transport, Government of India. As an electrical safety advisor, lecturer, and consultant various organizations. It looked like he is more busy after his retirement. Welcome, Eamon Salisa. We have a young consultant, Krish Theobald, who's a technical director of NFE. Krish is a meticulous electrical designer known for no-nonsense approach on electrical safety. He specializes in LV installation designed for commercial and large-scale domestic project with focus on compliance with IS 732 SP30. He is a technical director of Protego Plus Electrotech and TNG Electrotech. He is a member of BIS EGD 20 and 50 and IEC T64, MT1, MT12. And he's also a guest faculty member on NEC capsule course at NITS Noida. We expect to have Dr. Janaki Raman any moment. He is expected to join. So Janaki Raman, with over 20 years of experience in the field of lightning protection, is a member of IEC TC81 committee and part of working group of WG22. Nationally, he contributes to several BAS committee, including ETD20, ETD44, CD12, and CD46. And also is quite active in the National Building Code Committee as a committee member. We have very experienced electrical engineer Devdas Goswami. Mr. Devdas Goswami, an electrical engineer graduate with 42 years of experience, spent more than 30 years at BIS, leading its electrotechnical, electronic, and IT divisions and Rajasthan Certification Office. He has played very important role in developing national and international standards, including those for electrical installation, NEC, LVDC, motors, lighting, and mobile phones, and actively contributed to IEC standardization. Currently with Schneider Electric, he focuses on policy coordination for standards, sustainability, and regulatory compliance. He also serves as BAS committee for NEC and NBC. These are our eminent speakers and panelists today. And I give this floor to our president, Mr. Gopakumar, and also moderator for today's webinar. Over to you, sir.
Yes, good morning. Good morning to everybody. Good morning, the panelists as well as the participants. So I think every webinar which we make, initially the first part of the webinar, there will be outstanding performance, and the second part, there is a little bit less participants. Anyway, a lot of people are also nowadays watching our videos in YouTube and following several of our activities. So today we are going to discuss one of the very, very important topic, which is going to influence the electrical installations in the country, especially safety in the country. As all of us know, about 12 to 14,000 people are getting killed due to electrical reasons every year in the country, and fire due to short circuit in buildings are extremely high. Bombay Fire Brigade, approximately, they say about 80% of the fire calls coming are due to electrical reasons. Similarly, all over India, the fire due to short circuit is extremely high. So it is high time where the standards should seriously look into the subject of electrical fires and make some kind of solutions, or try to make some kind of solution. And for this particular purpose, National Building Code is the most important document published by the CED 46 of BIS. Now, today we had the first round of discussion last week, where we pointed out some of the improvements which is possible. Today we will be going back showing some more subjects which need the attention of people, especially some kind of areas where improvements are required. We will start the session with a question to Hemant Saliji, as Saliji wanted to leave a little bit early, so he asked to make it before 11:30. So Saliji, good morning, Saliji, and welcome to the program. Yeah. Saliji, we would like to listen to you about your overall opinion about the wide circulation draft which is published, which is in the public domain for comments. Uh, if the contents of NEC, if this content, if the content of the W draft and the NEC and IS 732 are different, what kind of changes you anticipate? The question is, we have National Electrical Code, we have IS 732, other code of practices, and if the contents between NBC and the other standards are, ideologically different, what kind of problems can be anticipated during the implementation? Over to you, Saliji.
Good morning, everybody. See, I would like to refer to regulation number 14, which says that the NBC and NEC shall be followed for the purpose of the regulations. So regulations decide both are at par. So of course, there should not be any conflict between these two codes. It is a very important part. BIS has published a document for public comments, and they are very open to accept the comments, think over it, justify that, and implement as and where necessary. So it is a good chance for everybody to go through it in deep. You should check it critically, but we should not be, criticize everything, because everybody works in the interest of the document. And we know, as Gopaji said, it is the most important document. I would say it is important, and even NEC also, because it is known to the wide range of professionals which are working in the building sector. So it has to be very, very nicely prepared. Of course, the final document which will come out will remove all the shortfalls, or whatever is remaining in that will be removed. That will take care of, because all panelists are members of different committees, and we work in the interest of public, we work in the interest of nation. So I hope the document will be foolproof when it comes out.
Thank you, Saliji. The next question probably to Goswamiji. Goswamiji, you have been a very well experienced engineer in BIS, and lot of several decades you worked for BIS. I would like to ask a simple question. Does IEC standards are recognized in India by BIS, and what is your opinion on that? Because in between we had a comment saying that IEC is not recognized in India. Over to you.
Good morning to Gopa Kumar, and good morning to all participants here. You see, this is for India, the standards per se is always voluntary in nature. So Bureau of Indian Standard is the national standard body. So the development or standard that is prepared has got the status of national standards. So it is, in a way, it is our standards, our country's standards. So naturally, it is expected that we all will follow, even though it is voluntary. Now, the standard can be made mandatory through regulations. So that is regulated by the regulator, could be any government departments. So that is why the CEA in the regulation, as Saliji had mentioned, in regulation 14, it has been mentioned that the relevant standards, including NEC and NBC, shall be followed to carry out the purpose of these regulations. So that makes it NEC and NBC mandatory. So it does not make that all these standards mandatory in a sense, but that NEC and NBC is mandatory, and the relevant standards wherever it is mentioned. As far as other standards are there, it is also mentioned in the same regulation that whenever this definition of standards is talks about it, that it is the definition of standard means it is the Indian standards, and in its absence, IEC standards, ISO standards, even IEEE standards in that sequence can be followed. So that means it gives a clear-cut architecture about how the standards is going to be followed. So this is the concept is followed in India. First is that Indian standard, if it is available, it has to be followed. And if it is not available, then corresponding IEC standards, ISO standards comes into play. But as far as regulation is concerned, it is always the Indian standard that comes into play. I hope that answers your query.
Yes. But you see, we are participating nowadays in a lot of training programs for committee members by BAS, and everywhere it is, we have been taught as, India is a founding member in the IEC, and we follow a lot of rules, regulations from the basic contents of our standards with respect to electro technologies from IEC is what we were asked to, or we were trained. Anyway, that is a different question.
Yeah, I like to add here. You see, our standard making process is, of course, through a committee structures, how it is done, building up a consensus. That is the process that is being followed. But we always base our standard on the IEC or ISO standards, because technically we have the confidence that IEC standards is developed with a correct technical picture or in mind. It does not mean that we cannot, in our committee, we cannot develop Indian standards. We have got a lot of examples where we have developed Indian standards within the committee also. But in most of the cases, because the complexity in the electrical system, we keep that IEC standard as a base document and modify according to suit our own process of system. That is the way it is followed.
Thank you. I think all over the globe, this is what is happening, including US or Europe or everywhere. They keep IEC as the base standard and they try to modify it according to their national requirements. So now, before I ask the questions to others, I would like to make Saliji free, because he told he has to leave at 11:30. Saliji, I'm just trying to share the screen, especially in the screen, probably you are able to see the table number 1A, which is basically the maximum permissible number of single core cables up to and including into a rigid steel conduit, as well as there is table 1B, which talks about the number of wires in the metal conduit, plastic conduit, and there is one more table which says the color coding of the conductors, where the color coding is mentioned as blue, green, sorry, the brown. The European colors had come into here, this one. What is your opinion on these three tables, Saliji?
Yeah. In respect of this color coding, I think it doesn't match with the clauses given under the NEC, and there should not be any difference between the NEC and NBC. So, in respect of this color coding, we have a clause in Part 1, Section 9, clause number 5.13.4, which tells us about the coding details. I think it needs to be corrected. That certainly will be taken care of. And in respect to the sizes of conduit, it's not that one conduit will carry same size of wires all the time. It may carry different sizes of wires. So there are limitations in using such type of cables, and this point was noticed when the NEC was adopted, and some change was made in the existing draft. And in case of the size of conduit, which is again under the Part 1, Section 9 of NEC, clause number 5.9.3.6, how to choose the size of conduit. The tables are given, and it considers different types of different cross sections of cable, which can get accommodated in the conduit. So I think this also needs some change in the working draft. That certainly will be taken care of.
Yeah. Is it some change, or the entire table has to be replaced with a new table?
No. We will make in line with NEC only. That's a very much necessary thing, because practically there may be number of different sizes of cable coming into the same size of conduit. So we need to change it.
Okay.
Can I add here?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Saliji, what you have said is right. The basic standard requirements as far as electric technology is concerned, like say color coding, like the standard voltage, and so like all those things. I mean, there is no scope that we should deviate from the standard practices, because it is going to create a havoc. So that has to be aligned with the NEC. Second part, as far as this the conduits and the selection of cables and number of cables, I mean, Section 9 of NEC is so elaborate and so technically correct. It gives a overall picture of selection of not only cables, circuit breakers, and so many, the whole system of wiring. I mean, I find a little odd to see that this NEC is not at all referred in NBC. I mean, this is because these both are BIS document. So it has to be referred, otherwise there could be huge gap. Even if we make another modified table, there will be a lot of things will be left out. That's my view.
Yeah. So, Devdas ji, then in that case, I have a straight question. For example, imagine there are two documents, let's say National Electrical Code, which is referring based on the IEC or whatever, there is something, and the NBC is, the contents of NBC is, let's say, in conflict with the NEC. And what kind of challenges you are facing, and how this is handled in the other standards?
The question is to me.
Yes.
Okay, okay. This is a very good questions because you see, I am all along propagating for the standards development, this concept. You see, this time why we are developing standards. Ultimately, standards intention is to implement these standards. Otherwise, there is no point if we keep it in the library and nobody refers it. Now, so supposing for any requirements, if we have an NBC document, say for electrical installation, so important, it is fire and personal safety is involved. Now, if we have a particular requirement selection of MCB, ELCB, and all those things, RCD, AFDD, no, we don't give a complete picture of what it is required, technically correct, which is given in the IEC standards, which I believe that it is the IEC standard what is given is right, and that should be reflected. It is not appearing in NBC. Now, if we are not appearing in an NBC, then at least we refer it to the NEC, which is aligned with the IEC standards. Now, if we are not giving it, then say supposing electrical consultant or designer, when in a building, he is going to follow, in most of the cases, NBC is more popular, as you have rightly said, and NBC is followed by the builders and the consultants. So the electrical consultant will go and follow the NBC. Then he will follow as it is what is given in the standards. But that does it give the complete picture of the technical requirements as far as the necessity of these things there? If there is a gap, there could be conflict, and he may not be aware, and he may be missing out many things. So some reference to NEC is necessary. Not only reference, a very clear-cut reference is necessary. Otherwise, there will be conflict and there will be chaos, I would say. Multiple standards is the biggest challenge for any implementation of any standard. We should avoid.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the
Goswamiji, what Goswamiji has described, that section 9 is very, very important. And really, I would say that is very much brought in line with the international standards and is very nicely updated. Of course, references are very much necessary from NEC.
Okay, okay. So thank you. I would like to take the question to Krish. Since Krish was basically, last few years, he was very active in the IEC, as well as in the ETD20. Krish, in the screen, you are able to see the MVLV busbar trunking system.
Yeah.
And this conventional type bus duct, compact type bus duct, what are all these things? Because I was trying to read the respective standard of the bus duct low voltage or up to 1000 volt, which is IEC 61439 part 6. I can't find any of these explanations. Can you throw a little bit light on it?
Well, unfortunately, there's not much I can explain because, as you correctly mentioned, ISIC 61439 Part 6 doesn't use these terms conventional type and compact and sandwich type. In fact, they keep using, there is a bus duct, which is a term that is used in NBC, which is not used in IEC. It is busbar trunking system. So, I mean, this particular section entirely, frankly, I don't see what requirement it's giving for an installation standard at all, other than something to do with spacing. This is a 5.3.8. I will just share my screen as well, and I have highlighted over here. Just a second. 5.3.8. Yeah, I'll just share my screen. Share screen. Share. Yeah. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
So I mean, so the first thing is, it talks about heavy loads or multiple distribution feeders. Now, what is the definition of a heavy load? We don't know. What is multiple? One or more? We don't know. So this is once again something that is not objectively verifiable. If you look at the ISO IC directives part 2, this is against that. Once again, we have over here the bus bars available for continuous run from point of point. This is not a have to be again is the incorrect verbal form as per the ISO IC directive. It is either a shall or a should. Seismic support shall be provided. This is the only requirement I see over here. Other than this, bus bar are available from continuous run. This is information. These terms are not used in the product standard itself. How it has been used here, I don't know. Same thing with bus duct. We don't use this term. Should be earth. If you have a bus bar trunking system with an exposed conductive part, the requirement is from the product standard that it should be earthed. It shall be earthed, and the terminal shall be provided. This is now you have a conflict between an installation standard and a product standard, and also the incorrect use of the verbal forms of expression. uh, they have to have at least the least amount of combustible material. This is once again a requirement for the product, not for the installation. These are generally air insulated with intermediate ceramic support insulators enclosed in a metallic enclosure. This is just information. It's not helping. It's not either a requirement, recommendation, permission, possibility, none of this. Uh, Such bus duct shall be used only if essential. What does this mean? Incorrect verbal form of expression and not objectively verifiable. Compact type bus bars. They may be used in false ceiling spaces or even in corridors. Once again, what are you trying to say? In other cases, they should not be used as the incorrect verbal form of expression. Uh, this is a requirement for aesthetics. This is not required relevant to safety at all. I mean, why is NBC telling you how to make something aesthetically pleasing? Insulation material in such ducts is generally glass fiber. Once again, this is a product standard. This is not the job of an installation standard. The only real requirement here is that the device it should conform to the product standard. There are some requirements for spacing and fire sealing. So I want to really ask the question, and this is jumping on the back of what Mr. Goswami said. I completely agree with him. We already have an IEC standard. The IEC standard has been adopted as an Indian standard. What is the need for us to draft another set of standards with conflicting requirements? Forget conflicting, the same requirements, and then invariably they will conflict. See, I'd like to show you what it says in the ISO IC directives. Referencing the entire collection of system of international standards published by ISO and IC is interrelated and forms a system whose integrity has to be preserved. Therefore, referencing to a particular piece of text should be used instead of repetition to the original material. Repetition introduces the risk of error or inconsistency and increases the length of the document. So, when you have situations where the same item is covered by one or more standards, because you reproduce everything, you create a scope of inconsistencies, which we saw with the tape, the conduit, etc. We saw with the color coding, and it creates a scope for errors. One is updated, other is not. This is a big problem that we have, and in my opinion, we cannot continue. Now tomorrow somebody else will make one more standard and start writing this. Like Mr. Goswami said, the IC committees have worked very hard to make a standard that is very good, that has been adopted by ETD for electrical installations. Why this is included in NBC, frankly, I do not know. And as we can clearly see, by duplication, we are getting inconsistencies. Conventional type bus bar, compact and sandwich type bus duct. These terms are not used in the standard. How have they entered here? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Krish. It was a detailed explanation by you. I would like to take the question to Apav sir. Apav sir, you have been as an implementer of rules and regulation for the state of Tamil Nadu for a long time. Do you think that the NBC, this W draft, contradicts with the regulation and emperors implementers in sorting out the correct ones? What is your opinion on this, sir?
Thank you, sir. No doubt, implementers follow NBC in some cases, like raising mains and building rated fire safety provisions, like placing of diesel generator sets in the setback area, etc., etc. These are good things to avoid conflicts between different enforcing authorities. Say there could be municipal authorities, fire department, and electrical inspectors. So the building norms is setting out certain conflicting areas, and to sort out those, that is the only thing that NBC can do. There should not be a conflict between different agencies. Also, it helped the implementers till new comprehensive standards on electrical installation practices have evolved after late 80s when NEC was framed. Actually, before the NEC framing, the NBC was followed in the absence of so many advancement in electrical standards. However, presently there are a lot of IS standards like IS 732, 3043. They have been made on par with international standard practices, And regulators have ever since been following these guidelines after 90s. Late 90s, they have converted themselves, in spite of NBC, as far as electrical things are concerned, the regulators are implementing regulations and IS standards like 732. So
Yeah,
the
thank you. Thank you.
regulators have also provided a specific provision that relevant standards are to be followed. So after acquainting themselves with the current practices, the implementers may revisit the old obsolete IS, which could bring in utter confusion that is brought in main of the areas. Supremacy of NBC or NEC is not relevant here. Supremacy of safety is the concept. So there should not be any confusion. I can cite many examples where the NBC amendments have gone beyond the regulations Indian standard, leave alone the IEC standard. It has conflicted in several areas of basic engineering practices in electrical standards. That's a real concern for the implementers, but I hope the implementers will outrightly omit these NBC provision if it comes into effect. We can't take that every comment will be taken into account by the NBC, but the real implementation create a chaos, not for the implementers. It will create a chaos for the builders, consumers, and other authorities. This is certain going
Thank
to
you.
happen if
Thank you.
the regulations are not.
I have one question to Mr. Appao, sir. Sir,
sir.
see, the regulation states NBC and NEC, both they are treated at equal par, but should there be clarification in the regulations itself? What should be followed after all? I mean, if there is conflict, like they say, if there is conflict, the regulations will prevail. So should there be such type of sentence in regulations itself in case of any conflict between NBC and NEC? If there are certain controversies.
Sir, I am not talking about the conflict between regulation and NBC. I am talking about the conflict between the NBC and the NEC, NBC and IS 732, NBC and IS 3043, NBC and CA technical standards on substation practices. Where comes the substation practices on the generating plant? There are several provisions made as a test book on internet-based barras. I am totally confused with these newfound theories that is creeping into the NBC. It's a vital document. NBC is a vital document followed by many authorities. But there should be a conflict between the standards. Among the standards, why should be a conflict among the standards, leave alone the regulations? If the standards are right, then a set of people will be following following NBC. Another set of people will be following NEC. Then what will happen? The builder, architect, and the consumers, even in the factory premises, there are several standards set forth. Even in the substations areas, there are several standards set forth by the NBC. There are no such standards. For example, I can cite several things. Nitrogen injection fire protection system is not at a standard made by the Bureau of Indian Standards itself, but it is being inadvertently or wantonly introduced to make it as if it is a standard people have to follow it. So there are sort of things. Busbar trunking, I can say, busbar trunking is made mandatory in the regulation. In spite of that, a tragedy is happening in the country due to toxic smoke of cables. The important provision is neglected in this code. I can say that specific provision of regulation 38.3.5, where busbar trunking have to be provided to minimize the hazards of cable during a fire as per regulation. But this is not appearing in this. So
can I add something, Gopalji?
Yes, Goswamiji, make it quick.
Nicely explained as well, based on the questions by Saliji, nicely explained by Appavu sir. I just wanted to add over here what I fully agree with Saliji's observations, that the regulation itself should not create complication. Regulation's clarity should have been there in the regulation itself. Now, question is, NBC and NEC both are BIS document. Both have the status of national standards. So it is the responsibility now with rest with BIS to resolve if there is any conflict is there. And that can very easily be done. So supposing as far as electrical part 8 section 2 chapter is concerned, there is no doubt that there has to be a chapter because there are a lot of things that with the builders, architects, and electrical people, designers. There is a lot of things, and coordination part is there. So we should focus on that part of the building. And as far as electrical technology part, we should refer to the NEC or maybe 732-3043. That way, the whole conflict can be minimized, and there will be no problem. Even if, say, supposing anybody follows NBC, he will be referred to a particular chapter or section of section 9 for electrical wiring. So he will go to the NEC without going into all these conduits, details, cable selections, all these things, because that is there in detail, is given there. It is very perfectly written there. So we need not copy it, modify it, and then create a lot of confusions. We should
Thank you,
not.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah, one thing I just want
Thank
to
you.
mention here. Goswamiji, you had mentioned that the sequence should be maintained between Indian standards, then IEC standards, and the sequence you had mentioned. So you mentioned it very correctly, because if you see, if we all the time we go on referring IEC standards, that won't be correct. The table which Gopal Kumar had referred to me as a question, the color coding was given, that was as per IEC. But IS doesn't recognize that table. IS recognizes different standard. It recognizes IS 115353. So their priority should be there, first Indian standard, and subsequently, if it's not available, then only we can refer the other standards.
Yeah, correct. Correct.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, all the the panelists who answered. But you see, as all of us know, that all of us, the panelists, we are members of this committee, and we have made a P draft, because the last 2016 NBC had so many, it need a lot of improvement, because the IS 732, 3043. NEC, lot of documents have been updated with a lot of new information, keeping in eye that the example, the fire due to short circuit has to be reduced in the country. So as a result, we produced a P draft. Then suddenly the committee decided, not to, to take the comments. And I really don't know what has happened. I even requested the members or the BIS that, look, before publishing the W draft, you ask us to read. Send us the copy so that we will read, and such mistakes can be very easily corrected. Sometimes I have a feeling that this either it looks like probably there is a serious clerical mistake has happened, because the contents are copied from the 2016 NBC, and there were no improvements, and all these things came. Now we have a question in the Q&A from Mr. K. Arun Sharma. Suppose there is a contravening clause in NEC and NBC, which document will have precedence, is the question. Probably Saliji, you will be able to answer this, but I am sure until now there is nothing like that mentioned in the regulation.
Gopaji, I believe that all discrepancies will be removed in the final draft. There won't no the discrepancies remain between NEC and NBC. That care we all will be taking. So I look forward to that only.
That is the probably best option. That yes, we modify the WC draft to align it with the NEC, or I would suggest that we should not copy it. We should only refer it. Only when
Exactly.
that is overall thought process, there is an integration part with the architect, builders, and the electrical designer, site engineers. Those part we cover it, and if it is found that something more elaboration is helpful, that can be added. But basic technical content, we should not even copy it. That is the basic principle of standard. We should not duplicate it.
Yes, thank you. So basically, with respect to NBC and NEC, as Saliji told, let us hope that at least the final document comes without any conflicts of misinformations. Anyway, I would like to show one interesting subject. Let me share the screen first. So I'm just sharing the screen with a small information. One moment, I have to hide this. Yeah, what you are seeing is the W draft, section 11, first paragraph. In the first paragraph, it is written that lightning protection system are methods to divert the effect of lightning discharges away from the building, its occupants and sensitive equipment housed in the building. So basically, this was not there in the last NBC, but this was added that lightning protection system actually divert the effect of lightning. Whereas in the ISIC 62305 introduction, what is written is there is no device or method capable of modifying the natural weather phenomena to the extent they can be prevent lightning. Protection measures considered in ISIC 62305 series have been proved to be effective in risk reduction. So basically, there is a fundamental problem here. The NBC W draft says that lightning protection will divert the lightning effect, whereas the ISIC says that it will only reduce the risk. However, this question was actually posted for Mr. Janagiraman. He didn't, he could not join due to some reason. The question is, basically these two are in conflict. Which one is correct? If a person who read both the documents will be, because the idea which is followed in the NBC is, I would say it is totally not the correct way. And with this changed idea, if you start at the introduction itself, you make a different idea and start making a draft, the whole content of the draft becomes a mistake. Goswamiji, what is your opinion on this particular thing, the technical part?
Yeah, I do believe that whatever written there in the IC standard is correct. I mean, it is better, I would say. I know I was very closely associated with the development of standards in IEC, and definitely I know how it is standards are developed in Indian committees also. Now, the amount of time and energy they invest in IEC, say for, I can give you an example, for P draft of NBC, we had kept 1 day for deliberation. And there was something like more than 100 pages of comments. Half of the comments we could not discuss it even. Now, you tell me if we, and it was almost hurried through, because in many cases the decision or consensus building was really not possible. So something was decided. Now, that is not the way standard making process. We should avoid doing it, because we should try to build consensus. That is why we keep IEC as the base. We know that technically this is a correct document, and based on which whatever improvement that we want to make it as far as Indian system is concerned, that is the best way to do it. But in NBC, if we keep our NBC 2016 as a base, which was also not probably based on IEC standard, so there is going to be a big gap, and I think we should avoid these things.
Yes. We have Mr. Krish who has raised the hand. Krish?
Yeah, I just wanted to show you another example of where there's a big conflict. Maybe after you finish this discussion, then I can show you that.
Probably you can go ahead, Krish.
See, I will just share my screen. There is a requirement in NBC under construction sites that says the neutral of the system of each source or generator shall be having two distinct connections to two distinct earthing sets. The minimum requirement is the provision of two pipe earthing sets with a pipe of 2.5 meter length and separated by at least 2.5 meter between them and whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay. This is one big problem because this, like Mr. Goswami just mentioned, in IEC, there is so much deliberation. If we are stuck on one comment, we will add additional days. We may spend half a day or one full day to discuss one comment in entirety. Whereas I we don't know that's not what's happening here. Right? Now, this is a document that is this particular clause 12.3.1 is completely in contradiction with the IEC standard and the IS standard. If you look at IS 732, it clearly mentions that you need only one connection between the live parts and the earthing arrangement, and this is clearly mentioned over here in this section, which is for multiple source systems. But we have not done that here at all. They have just rewritten exactly what is written some decades ago, and they have redone this. Next example, wherever the requirements of earthing and use of RCD or RCB cannot be satisfactorily met with any site and electrical hand tools are required to be used. Firstly, I'm not sure what this means. Low voltage, lesser than 50 volt, appliance or self-contained battery operated tool shall be used as a self-alternative. This applies to work under damp or waterlogged conditions. This is an extremely dangerous statement. It can lead to deaths. Let me explain why. This is a standard called IEC 61140, which is a basic safety publication. It talks about limitation of voltage. So limitation of voltage to achieve safety, protection against electric shock. And it says touch voltage under no circumstances should exceed 25 volts or 60 volts where the equipment is normally used in dry locations and large area of contact of live parts of the human body is not to be expected, or 6-volt AC or 15-volt DC in other cases. Whereas this NBC is now saying less than 50 volts. If this document has been prepared after so much deliberation, research has been done on dead bodies, animals, live human beings to arrive at these values. If somebody takes an appliance with a voltage lesser than 50 volts and takes it into a damp or waterlogged area, who is going to be responsible if somebody dies as a result of this? I would genuinely like to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Krish. Actually, Apav sir, what is your opinion on this kind of,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I
serious
fully
issue?
agree with
Yeah.
I fully agree with Devdas Goswami's opinion as well as Chris Theobald. I have posted the areas in certain vital areas of concern in the chat box, in which I can say that especially touch potential applicable for the substations are given here. It is totally wrong. The concept itself is wrong. It is not as per IS IEC. Don't bother about IEC. What about IS? In IS 61936 IS IEC, one definition is there. Here, some other definition is there. Ultimately, it is an utter confusion. These are the classes that makes the total conflict of IS. If there are few, the comments should come at the final stage. People can offer few comments and it can be either rejected or approved. If it escapes, then it will become lethal, as Krish observed. If anything is omitted by mistake or intentionally or unintentionally, then it's a national code. It will provide a wrong guidance. So, as Mr. Goswami observed, whatever the detailed explanations are given in the NBC can be removed and the relevant standards can be referred. That is why the regulation is also providing relevant standards everywhere. So everything has been made to synergize. There are good provision in NBC and NEC and standards and IEC, the regulations. Everything has to be synergized to achieve the best result, not to go to the olden era of referring the textbooks. That is done in this NBC in so many things. I hope if everything is clear, then it is well and good. Otherwise, it will become a embarrassment to all. It will become a great confusion to all. That's what I can see.
So, Apav sir, I just put on the screen a comparison between the NBC clause number 8.2.3, where, for example, earthing, this was, of course, from the NBC 2016, which was not correct, but then the same thing repeated. In the pre-draft, actually, all these mistakes were very well corrected, but again, the same old story of earth pit, main earthware. Here, the concept
Sir,
of the protective earthing,
yes.
protective equipotential bonding is totally missing. The word fault loop impedance itself, I think, doesn't included in the whole NBC other than the definition.
Sir, actually, the intention, I don't know, but it helps a lot of chemical earth pit promoters and some other manufacturers, lobbies I can see. Indefinitely, the important codes, important provisions are equipotentiality and earth loop impedance. These two important provisions are carefully avoided in the NBC to help it may result in helping the people who are all engaged in this business for the several decades since 1990s. Now we are in 2025. If you bring in the previous S12 1990 standards alone, these people will be helpful. It will be helpful. If you bring in these latest standards, regulations 2023, it will
Prabhu
be
sir,
no.
yeah, sorry to say, I mean, it may not be, I mean, they may not be doing it intentionally. What is problem here intentionally? I mean, what is problem is that probably they have now made a base of NBC 2016 as a base document and then updated it based on their understanding of the subject. But then understanding of the subject it has gone
No, sir.
lot of changes as per
We
IEC
are grateful.
standards.
No, we are grateful to the NBC because
Yes.
NBC has set in several precedents and all the regulators have followed NBC. After the NEC came into effect and several things came into effect, I have sent a comment quoting hundreds comments. Is it necessary for an NBC to provide an electrical norms providing 100 comments for each section? How it will be corrected? Then what's the purpose of a working committee? This is wide circulation draft. Working committee should have finalized all these trivial errors. It's not trivial, a major errors. Some editing and trivial errors can be corrected in wide circulation. Can we expect the common people, citizen, to do all the base works and sit along as if like a working committee? I don't believe. There is a major thing happened in
Thank you, sir. I would like to ask a question probably to Goswamiji. Goswamiji, this process, as you said, in IEC, I have also, nowadays almost last 1 decade, I am also attending several IEC meetings. Each of the comment has been really discussed for hours and hours, and sometimes, one page correction may take 1 full day. That is the way the standards are made. In this case, for example, if we look at the overall the W draft, the draft is given for 1 month for commenting to the public. Public have 1 month to comment, and it's already, I think, the last due date is 2nd of June. For sure, to read this W draft and to get comment, 1 month is not enough because it need a lot of detailed reading is required. Is it possible that if we ask BIS to extend the W draft 1 more month for wide circulation? What is the process? What is the legal? What is the process? How this is done?
Yeah, you are right. But I also feel that BIS is trying to expedite the process of NBC publication. But then NBC takes care of it's a huge sector. It is a 30% of our economy. So, I mean, probably BIS should be little more, keep some lot more patience, give lot more time to develop and also developing consensus. Now, even in the P draft, probably I'm not sure it was for how many days it was circulated, but here it is 1 month. It is what you said is right. Probably more time is required. We can always make a request as a NFE. We can always submit a request to BIS Secretariat, NBC Secretariat to extend the date because we are not possible to compare. But the biggest problem, I have gone through this P draft and also the white hyperlink draft. Is supposing what happens if in the P draft, based on the comments and decisions, some changes were made. Now, tracking those changes is easier. But if we have changed the complete document itself, now we have to start from scratch again. Again, going through the document, how much time and manpower, man-hour one need to go through it. So, I mean, such a wholesale change is really not desirable. Even if it is done then there should be second P draft should have been issued. Maybe even now it is not late. Even in the white circulation stage, whatever comments is there, maybe they can go for an improvement and they should recirculate it. There should be another maybe 1 month or 2 month recirculation must be there because such a wide scale change with an important document, we should not hurry through and avoid all these mistakes.
Yes. So that means we have to comment to this, and these comments probably if actual changes, anticipated changes are made, then it becomes a major change. As a result, the document has to be recirculated for W draft again. This is what your point. Am I correct?
Yes. It should be because with such a major changes, many people will miss out so many things, and it is an important document and it's on installations. We should not give enough time. We should give enough time.
Okay, okay. You also told that the BIS is in a hurry to publish this, but if BIS decide not to,
I
why
do
decide?
not know if BI is in a hurry or not, but they are trying to expedite. They are trying to expedite. That is always the intention of BIS. But an important document with such a diverse content, we have to give time. We cannot just avoid all this. We cannot just be. I mean, we have to give enough time.
Actually, there was enough time. For example, one of the P-draft meeting happened in 2024 April, and it was decided to change make it in line with NEC, and the P-draft, which all of us read, was made in that particular view. Now, this whole document has went back to the 2016 version, which is actually creating the whole confusion. Here, the issue is. I think the changes made during 2019 in the IS 732 and NEC 2023 were never consulted. As a result, all these conflicts, I would say, has come. Misinformation. One standard says you turn right, another standard says you turn left, another standard says you go straight, and it's total confusion. Now, I would like to take a few of the questions from the participants. So, Mr. Babeja is asking, in practice, it is found that for household wiring, many places the local electricity contractors use PVC. Actually, it's a very long question. I would like to probably ask Mr. Babeja, if you are there, maybe you can raise your hand and we will allow you to talk. Maybe there are few people who has already raised the hand. Mr. Iyer, you can unmute yourself and you can participate in the discussion.
Can I?
Yes, please.
Good morning to all. Very interesting discussion. I am basically in the field of fire protection. What concerns me is about the cable types for the fire systems. And as Mr. Goswami rightly pointed out, there's immense confusion. Even the so-called MEP, the consultants who make the specifications, they are not aware. So if we are looking at NBC as the core standard, I would like to compare the NEC 2023, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Gopakumar, to the NFPA 70 or the NEC 70, both mean the same. Now, if you look at the NFPA, maybe a good model to probably emulate, you have a three-tier approach. One is you have a performance document. Second is you have an installation document, like NEC 70 is an installation document. So likewise, NEC 2023 can be an installation document. And you have a supporting document. Now, there are interrelationships between these three documents. Now, if you look at NFPA 13, if there is some reference that is going to be there for the fire alarm circuits, or if it is going, there is going to be a reference to the power circuits when it comes to the fire pumps, the pressurization fans, and what have you, there is always a correlation. So what you need to do is just go to the standard and then get that. You don't need to reproduce everything in the NBC also. So the NEC 2023 standard or clause will be the guideline for following this. I'll just illustrate it with an example. Like for instance, and this also helps because the local standards like the UDCPR, Unified Development Control rules, with them also, they sometimes follow these standards. Sometimes they properly tabulate it. So just one example, which I thought I will mention to illustrate. Like for instance, your cables are supposed to be conforming to IS 17505 for the FS cable. So as a fire alarm system designer, I would like to know what cable I need to use. NEC does mention in certain cases, like fire pumps, it will say FS 950, FWS, and the duration will be 180 minutes. Then you have for pressurization. Then you have for smoke venting. Then you have for firefighting shaft, staircase, and lift lobby. Then you have the fireman's lift. Then you have the exit signage lighting, emergency lighting, fire alarm. So there's I don't want to continue saying all these things, but these are things, where everything is clearly mentioned. The system description, the cable fire rating required degrees Celsius, and the time for which the system should withstand. It may not be there in the NBC standard per se, but it can always make a reference to the NEC 2023, which I think post evolution after all the deliberations would definitely be keeping in line with the current standards, because cables
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes can be XLP, NFS, can be FS, can be silicon rubber, can be MICC. So those become more of construction. But if the requirements are specified, then the person who is designing the system, he knows very well what is to be followed. Because at this point of time, what I'm seeing is even the so-called consultants in fire protection, because invariably they tend to be MEP consultants and they are not actually schooled in fire protection. So they do that. The second is, when it comes to these standards deliberations, another good model is to have a sort of a NITMAM. If you follow the NFPA code making process, like one gentleman was mentioning, sometimes they deliberate a clause for probably a day or maybe a long time. But there is a very clear-cut procedure. Every 2 years, the NFPA 13 gets revised, virtually most of the standards. So during this period, even when the new cycle has started, they start working on the revisions for the subsequent subsequent edition. So there should be a system, ecosystem, and the people who are in the committee of other standards, the people with the same background, they should also be in this committee, so that the left hand knows what the right hand is doing. Because otherwise, what is
Thank
happening
you.
is there's
Thank you,
somebody.
Mr. Iyer. Thank you, Mr. Iyer. I think we got the question correctly. Actually, you see, we were also participating in the IEC standard making process, especially, for example, with respect to fire, electrical fire. This is 60364-442, which is the protection from thermal effect. So whatever the recommendations or the requirements of this particular standard, first of all, the concept is not like you use a particular product and avoid all the problems is wrong. It's a whole system. Now, once when the electrical standards are made, the respective references to the ISO fire safety standards are also considered. Sometime, special committees are made, detailed deliberations are made, and the standards are made. Now, I would like to ask Krish. Krish was very actively participating in this particular thing. Krish, with respect to fire from electricity or fire due to short circuit, we know that last week or maybe 3-4 days back, there was a major fire accident in Hyderabad. Does the NBC covers fire from electricity, the subject of fire from electricity?
Not as well enough as it should. And I mean, one of the crucial aspects where what NBC needs to do is talk about the conditions for evacuation. So I'd just like to show you what the content is already there in the IEC standard. And we have some information on this subject even in IS 732. So I'll just show you. See, every building is classified into a BD1, BD2, or BD3, BD4, and even parts of the building, right? So BD1 is a low density area where it's easy to exit. So low density occupation, easy conditions of evacuation. Buildings of normal or low height used for habitation. Uh, Low density, low density occupation, difficult conditions for evacuation. So, some buildings are difficult to evacuate even though they have a low density of persons. An example is a high-rise building. Uh, High density occupation, easy. So, okay, locations open to the building like a theater, cinema, etc. should be, even though they're high density, they are easy to evacuate. And then they're obviously the high density, difficult to evacuate. So high-rise buildings open to the public. When it comes to IS 732, if you look at, say, BD2, you realize that there are requirements that are given for conditions of evacuation and emergency. So BD2, BD3, BD4. And depending on these conditions, there are different requirements for the electrical installations that apply. So for where BD2, BD3, BD4 are there, these are the requirements. So BD2, BD3, BD4 are there, again, these are the requirements. Where BD3 and BD4 are there, these are the requirements. So this is how the standard needs to deal with it. And this information is already in 732. And if required, NBC could provide additional commentary on this. For example, one of the most important things is how is a building or an area in a building classified into BD2, BD3, or BD4? What are the criteria in India that we need to follow to know which is the classification? Now, if that was done, NBC would be complementing IS 732 and NEC, because NBC would say, according to these requirements, a building is classified, or an area of a building is classified into BD2, BD3, BD4, or BD1. And then the requirements in NEC or IS 732 apply for those areas. However, this has not been done. So really, I don't know at what point we are.
I like to add it what Chris said. The NBC has got a fire chapter 4. part 4, which gives about classification of buildings. And our NEC also is aligned with the part 4 in classification of buildings. And then the specific requirements, as Krish was saying about the, if it is a BD2, BD3, then what will be the electrical consequences? So those things is missing in part 8, the electrical chapter. Apart from that, the gentleman who was raising question about the fire safety, about the use of cable, IS 17505. And now that is the circuit integrity cable, and that is in detail is covered there in NEC, but probably it is not covered so far in NBC. Some mention about the fire things are there, FRLS is there, but there is a lot of confusions about the FRLS, FRLS-H, where it is to be used, where it is not to be used. So that is the gap. So this gap needs to be plugged, or otherwise we simply refer NEC. The best thing is to refer to NEC.
Yeah,
I think that
we reference, not duplicate. Exactly, Mr. Goswami.
duplication, yes.
Yeah, thank you for both. We have Mr. Janagiraman also joined our program. Mr. Janagiraman, you are able to you are able to listen. Am I correct?
Morning. Sorry for the delay.
Yes, you were a little bit late. So I would like to ask one question. Probably just a minute. I'm
Yeah,
just trying.
Gopa Kumarji, I mean, just a short comment.
Yeah.
Because we talked about fire, that is why I wanted to say in NEC we have added requirements of AFDD also. Now, whether you like it or not, but AFDD is definitely is going to play a very big role as far as electrical circuit is concerned, particularly in our country where we are lot of lives we are losing. So some requirements of AFDD should also be included here in NBC, in line with NEC.
Yeah. Krish, what is you were taking AFDD and RCDs in all our 40 seminars all over India. What's your opinion the contents of RCCB and AFDD in NBC?
IEC is very clear on this, and IS 732 and NBC are clear on this. There are certain locations where RCDs shall be used. There are certain locations where AFDD shall be used. And once again, I'd like to say, let us not make up new requirements, like Mr. Goswami says. Just refer the relevant clauses. The moment we make up new requirements, like is done in this current W draft, like, for example, nowhere in any standard, in IEC standard or IS 732 or NEC, is there a requirement for 100 milliampere RCDs?
Yeah, 100
RCDs
milliampere.
are only required for additional protection, so lesser than or equal to 30 milliampere, fault protection, or so lesser than or equal to 300 milliampere, or lesser than or equal to anything as long as it's coordinated, and fire protection lesser than or equal to 300 milliampere. Then why does NBC suddenly say that in certain areas it should use 100 milliampere RCDs? Why? We are now making up new requirements. So we just need to refer. The moment we add in new requirements, we create confusion. See, let me tell you, India has a lot of people. We have a couple 1.7 billion people or whatever. But the resources we have for standardization are very limited. Instead of making up new requirements that are not in conflict with each standard, we need to spend more time in refining our standards. I do not understand why we are now introducing conflicting requirements. I'd like to reiterate, like Mr. Goswami said, we need to refer, not repeat. Thank you.
No, Krish, the question is whether AFDD is any requirements are included in NBC. Also, the type A, F, and B RCCBs. What about those parts?
See, I don't think any of this is covered in NBC at all. No, definitely the type of RCDs are not covered. We have AC, A, F, and B. We know we should not be using AC. None of this is covered again. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's not a good thing. But this is already covered in IS 732 and NEC. So it's a matter of reference, not repetition. But no, it's not covered, to answer your question.
Yeah, Chris has rightly said, even NBC, it does not say, even for the type of MCB, type B, type C, how we are going to select it. So also the RCD, so SPD. So there are so many types, and the selection process and requirements are different. Nothing is completely silent as far as NBC, whatever I have gone through. So we need to refer to NEC.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you for both of you. We have Janagiraman. Janagiraman, we have made a question to you. Probably I will try to share the screen. you see the in the W draft on the left side on the screen, what you are seeing is in the NBC W draft, in the first paragraph of section 11, what is written is lightning protection system are methods to divert the effect of lightning discharge away from the building. Whereas our own IEC, our IS 62305 says the protection measures considered in the standard 62305 series have been proven to be effective in risk reduction. So basically, the IS standard is following one idea of basically reducing the risk, whereas the introduction of the clause 11 says you are diverting the lightning. What is out of these two, which one is correct? And can you throw light on it?
Yeah, thank you. See, predominantly the National Building Code on any particular guideline has to have a basis or a backup, which defines basically from an IS or an IEC governing standard. Now, 62305 has got more relevance, which says this is there are no device for a method capable of modifying the weather. However, protection measures are to be considered as per 62305. Now, which says this is to ensure that an effective risk reduction of a lightning, which is possible only by a designer or a user. There are no possibility to divert the effects. So this particular statement has to undergo a revision, which aligns with 62305, obviously.
Okay, thank you, Janaki. Similarly, there is one more clause where you can see here 8.2.3. The whole clause 8 has been copied from the existing 2016 version. Probably the ideal situation is the whole clause has to be deleted and put one note. You should follow IS 3043 because it's completely in conflict. Now, you see, there is a new definition which is, as you can see in the screen, the earthing means earth electrode and the connection to the earth electrode and all. Whereas the concept which is followed globally, also followed in IS 732 and NEC, is protective earthing, protective equipotential bonding, and automatic disconnection of supply. So these, you can refer all these clauses, and this is the correct way: protective earthing, protective equipotential bonding, and automatic disconnection of supply. That means people are not getting shocked. And before the prospect, the touch voltage is more than certain limit, your automatic disconnection should happen. But now this particular thing, this is totally, a new maybe a kind of a new invention has been made, or new kind of definition has been made in the NBC, which is against the contents of the current standards. And
again the old code which was saying this particular has been conveyed here. However, the revisions have happened in 3043, which can be adopted, which will also help in terms of improvising this to a great extent, and will be easy for the user to also understand. That revision we'll have to work on this, and then the new additions from 3043.
Yeah, Janaki Ramanji, I have to comment here. That is why I'm saying now, so supposing the revision is taking place in 3043, and it will continue to be, because standard is never a static document, it is going to be changed. Now, so supposing if there is a correction is necessary in whatever document today we are copying it from maybe 3043 in NBC, tomorrow 3043 is getting changed, we again has to make the similar changes in here also. Now, keeping
it is not like copying.
Keeping track of all these changes is almost impossible. That is why it says the standard should not be duplicated. It should be at one place and we should modify there. So reference up to that document means that all the automatic changes is affected.
You are right, sir. But then it is not like copying or exactly taking it into toto. But then the previous definition at the time of the draft which was made last time is still continuing, which can be modified, because the new adoptions from the purpose of drafting a code or a standard is to ensure that anything new can be welcomed. That is the intention. Now, some 3043 adoptions and 732, which has been revived, which is already existence, can be taken into account, and this should be added. That is also my opinion.
Yes. Thank you, Janaki Raman. You see, as you said, changes are known to everybody, and we repeatedly told this to every stakeholder, every member, saying that look, these standards are getting changed. The old contain so many, need so many improvements. But I am actually surprised to see that even after insisting, so many multiple times that these need to be improved, still the old story came back. Now, for example, even if we comment, let us say I made a comment, you made a comment, all of us together maybe made a comment, and if still this kind of a mistake, maybe a clerical mistake again happens, and the whole NBC will come out with the old document. How do we, we cannot expect the whole nation to follow, some decade old or with these mistakes. Goswamiji, then what is the method to stop or avoid this kind of? We can make representation, we can comment, even as committee members, sometimes whatever we are saying is not considered rightly. So what is your opinion in that?
Yeah, because all these, I mean, major issues that has come out after vice circulation draft has been issued. So the best thing would be that BIS either extend the date, because there are a lot of requests, so we may extend by another month. And of course, I mean, the detailed deliberation has to take place about these things so that the decision on each comments are taken place. But difficulty is that the whole structure itself has changed. Whatever is the complete reference has gone down. In fact, we have gone back to the 2016%. But in any case, to retrieve whatever we have got it, we need to upgrade whatever existing document is there. We should not shy away in referring to NEC, because that is a much perfect and technically correct document. So most of the things, difficulties can be avoided, and we need to reissue the vice circulation document. So at least once it has to be reissued. Otherwise, whatever the final form is there, we don't know what is the shape it is going to take.
Yes. Thank you, Goswamiji. We have Mr. Ramaswamy who has raised the hand. Also, Mr. Baveja. Mr. Ramaswamy, you can unmute yourself and you can put the point.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay. Yes, please. Baveja ji, please wait for a second. First,
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I have made the question box also. We have all deliberated so many issues. My simple and humble submission, which I made in the earlier webinar also, is to ask to why from the very same BAS, the necessity of producing the same content or requirement through different standards, NBC or NEC or IS 732. You made all the conflicts exposed. But my simple question, why at all it is required, number one. Second, I would like to ask one more this thing from the BAS people. We have released a safety book for school children, which contained, I think, when I asked our NEC people, the NFE people, I was told it is the outcome from the BAS and CA regulations, CA body. So my question, what is the need for the school children to know about the verification checklist, all those things? It is for the professionals. So for the school children, it should be limited to what they require, that much only. So instead of wasting time and energy in making such a large this thing, we can improve a lot for the original requirements. This is my humble submission.
Okay, thank you. So again, you are also pointing to the question why so many documents are required for the same subject with the difference of
opinions.
So Baveja ji, you can unmute. You can.
Yeah, I have only first of all, good afternoon to everybody. It was a wonderful presentation and a lot of clarification given. But I have only two suggestions. One is that there are many odd practices which are being done, especially in terms of the domestic wiring where conduits are being used. And some parties are using, instead of conduit, just a flexible PVC sheath, which has got no value, which has got no, proper, I should say, strength. But it is being merrily used, especially where there's a hard cement to be cut. So that's one bad practice which I have seen in the recent years. Secondly, wherever there is a common, I should say, the standards with respect to electrical of what we say 732, or with respect to building code, can we not illustrate with the help of correct and wrong kind of pictographs, which will be helpful for anybody to understand?
instead of writing only in language. So this is my two suggestions are there. And
Yeah.
whenever there are odd, just a minute, whenever there are odd practices, it must be clearly written that this is not permitted or this is prohibited, so that people don't use those wrong practices. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, the P draft contain whatever you, but unfortunately, it has not come. We will make the comments and we will inform BIS that these changes are to be made, and again it has to be resent for wide circle
Yes.
one more month. So, Apav sir, over to you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
As
yes, sir. So
fire,
my final submission is, yes, please tell that, please.
the fire with respect to fire. Fire due to short circuit, unfortunately, 1 minute. Unfortunately, as Krish told, whatever in IS 732, the recommendations are made, but the building has to be classified based on evacuation, and this information should be included in NBC. But we also discussed it multiple times. But I think both the fire committee as well as electrical committee are not interested, or they didn't consider this particular thing. As a result, this crucial information is totally missing. If anybody asks whether NBC is covering the subject of fire due to short circuit, I would say the draft, be it part 4 or part 8, absolutely do not covers anything about fire from electricity. So over to you, sir. What is your opinion in this?
Yes, sir. Actually, as Mr. Goswami expressed, part 4, fire and life safety, explains fully about the measures. But unfortunately, NBC is revising its 2016 edition. After that, 2018 3043 came, and IS 732 in 2019 came, and IS IEC 61936 part 1 came in 2021. The regulation came in 2023. With this, also 1646 came in 2025. With all these latest provisions, what is the necessity of going back to the 2016 edition of NBC in these intricate areas when the very purpose is to address the issue of fire and life safety? Example, I can say in the section 4, they introduced a very funny part, sorry to say. The motor rating, for example, the fire pump. Fire pump is the last resort which has to be operated by the firefighting personnel. Here, the previous IS 1646, it has been revised in 2025. It says the motor rating should be adequate to drive the pump when operating on 150% of rated flow. Also, you should be capable of taking a overload of 50%. Here, in this new edition, they have changed it. They are going for the energy efficiency. They approve variable drives also. You can easily presume that a fire pump will be operated once in a while. If it doesn't have a starting torque due to this, and if there are any major interventions required by the power electronics in VF3 drives, what will happen? Why such complicated and unnecessary issues amended, especially in the most vulnerable part of the firefighting measure? Can we expect the firefighters to go into the power electronics and VFD drives? It is simple to have the starting torque required by the motor. How it has been changed? So these are the things. There are so many things we can attribute, but these are the things. Actually, there is one more thing, nitrogen injection fire protection system. It is an intriguing. There are so many transformer blasts happened in power plants and transmission substations. They are all happened even in spite of the provision of NIFPS, that is nitrogen injection fire protection system. It is a area, it is intriguing, the challenging the power plant operators from National Thermal Power Corporation as well as the Transco company. So many people are, and CA regulators are still, they are requesting the BIS to provide a standard. But without providing that standard in this section 4, they have simply provided you adopt NIFPS. Actually, the FES was removed from the 2010 regulation and 2023 regulation, it was removed. So how these flimsy things are coming into the code, the code, not the standard and practices. They are coming into the code and they are gaining importance at the last moment, and it will be practiced after that. I don't think all these provisions will be removed after the public comments, because public comments, it is not transparent whether the public comments will be taken into account by the committee is not transparent. We don't know whether this will come. In that case, what we can do, what the public can do, what NFE can do has to be explored. We are reliable. I am reliable that this will not come. Very Namkava small measures will be happening, not the main issues like NAFP and VFD drives. So many things are still going to happen in our country. And what the common citizen protect the building against a fire when the NBC itself is propagating something. Then what will we do? Where can we go? This is my question.
Yeah, sir. What you are saying is in the part 4 of fire for the fire pump variable frequency drive is written.
Yes.
Correct. My God. So it should be a normal starter which is capable of starting as quick as possible.
It's only a sample, sir. Sorry, it's only a sample because I can't deliberate everything. There are so many things, small generators. There is no definition for small generator that can be placed on rooftop. Actually, NBC has provided a valuable suggestion of not permitting rooftop generators, not their standards in any of the, even IS 732 missed it, 3043 missed it, but NPC has ordered that there is no rooftop generators. It's a valuable thing. But why should we deviate? A small generator can be provided in the rooftop. What will can the fuel be transported to the rooftop? Then how much amount of fuel, diesel can be brought all over from 30 or 40 story building? Where is the storage? And what is the rating of small generators? So many things are available.
Small generators are allowed in the rooftop, is the point. Is they allowed in the rooftop, but then there is no definition of small generator.
Yes, no definition.
My small generator
See, there are UPS, solar photovoltaic generation, everything is, the generation is totally changing, scenario is changing. We can provide UPS with a battery station. What's the necessity of a battery fuel, this type of diesel oil to be transported across the several floors?
Okay.
This latest.
Thank you, sir. So like that, you told these are only the small points, but there are more to seriously look into. Am I correct? So we have Mr. C.V. Raju who has raised the hand. Mr. Raju, if you have any points, you can unmute yourself and talk. Also, Baveja ji, you have again raised the hand.
Yeah, can I?
Yes, please. Quickly.
Yeah, Appavu sir rightly said that small DG sets should not be permitted on the rooftop, because I happened to visit one of the buildings. It had a small DG set, so-called, but the diesel stored over there was more than 2 barrels. That means 400 liters of diesel was kept over there. And the answer was given that who will go every time up and down to top up the diesel? I mean, and they had no CCOE or PESO approval for that. Plus, there was no approval from the Pollution Control Board. So, I mean, so many things kept on getting added. So, we have to be very careful when we give such kind of permissions, whether it's a small or big. But what ultimately happens and leads to fire is going to be disastrous for any of the standard, whatever you create. Actually, it should not be permitted at all.
Thank you, Baveja ji. You have been a person of this oil and gas for more than.
That's why I'm saying. Thank you.
We have Mr. Iyer again. Mr. Iyer, over to you. You can unmute.
Since we're talking about standards, the other major problem is standards like IS 13039, Code of Practice for Hygiene, then 15105 for sprinklers, and there's another one for pump installation. All these cover also the cables and the switch gear and other things. So that is a core standard which any fire designer follows, and that is very sketchy. It doesn't give any information, and sometimes misleading also, though it is supposed to be a life safety. So if we can have the references, like I mentioned, the interrelationship that is normally seen in NFPA, like NFPA, NEC 2070, NFPA 72, NFPA 20 for pumps, all there, it will be correlation will be there. And as Mr. Goswami rightly pointed out, why reinvent the wheel when one particular standard is being refined to any international standard or based on Indian requirement? That should be the gospel, so that when you're designing this, then you follow that. So that should be also there in 13039, 15105, the relevant fire standards. Otherwise, in isolation, it doesn't make any sense, because ultimately the fire protection consultant, typically, if he is looking at conformity, or the regulatory authorities, they should know what to select. So that is another submission I have, that the standards, fire related standards, also clearly make a reference to the relevant requirement with regard to cable. And incidentally, there was one question whether you asked whether NEC mentions about cable. Yes, it is there in table, I think 10A and B. And I think there are two clauses which talks about spread of fire and sealing and all that. So that was my submission. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
We have
okay, I have to add is what is about the fire protection and installation of generator, and also the similar problem about the placing of oil transformer in the basement as well as in the upper floors. So, I mean, this is a huge text is mentioned there over there. I'm not sure the dimensions and requirement that is given. There is, it seems that there is some lack of I would say authenticity with respect to electricity regulations, then peso and all those things. So we have to be very careful about that chapter also.
yes, thank you, Goswamiji. Krish, you would like to add any other points?
No, I mean, my only point is that a lot of work was done in the committee to take it from a P draft to a W draft, but somehow the W draft has come to a point where all the mistakes from NBC 2016 have come again. So I would just like to think, what is the way forward? What do we do? Because we can't make all these comments on 100. I'll just give you an example, right? The NBC P draft is how many pages long? NBC P draft is 233 pages long. Okay. And IS 732, which is a code of practice for electrical wiring installations, is 249 pages long. You cannot expect, after all the work that we have done, to take the P draft to make it into a W draft suitable for circulation, to now read a 233-page document and remake all those comments. It is a slap on the face of the people that have worked on this. So, what is the way forward? I would genuinely like to ask this question to everybody else here.
Sir, can I add something?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Actually, we are all, there are several questions related to the cables, everything. The fire propagation, I can see in section, in part 4, fire and life safety, there is a clause, I can read it, para 4 of 3.4.6.3. It says, if the licensees agree to provide meters on upper floors, the licensees cables shall be segregated from the consumer's cables by providing a partition system. This is the provision. That is referring the cable. Whereas the regulation, as far as possible, we have to reduce the cables. That's why the regulator have provided, after the major Upar tragedy and so many other fire happening in this country, they have provided busbar trunking should be provided in multi-story building. Why the cable is again creeping in? Why this important tragedy cause, important regulation which has arisen after the tragedy is neglected? So these are the major concerns. We have to avoid cable at the places wherever it is possible, because not the shock or fire kills the people. The toxic smokes from the cables kills the people, whether it is FRL or FSS.
The regulation 38 says the high-rise building you have to have the busbar trunking system, whereas the NBC says you can also use cable provided you segregate it, which is contradicting. This is the point. Am I correct, sir?
That is the regulation 38.3.5 of CE regulation 2023. Why it should be neglected?
Yeah. So, Mr. Janagiraman, you have any points further? I don't know whether he can hear. Hello. Anyway, so it's time to close up the program. We took almost 2.5 hours. Now the last question, probably Mr. Rajan has raised the hand. Mr. Rajan, you can unmute yourself and talk. This is probably the last question. We are unable to hear you. You have unmuted, but we are unable to.
Hello,
Yes, yes. Now we can.
am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, my point is we need to, in the preface itself, we need to establish that NBC, whatever the relevant standard advocating to these clauses, should be latest as far as latest possible. Then this contradiction will be get stabilized, and we cannot just redraft certain parts here and there. What Krish was saying is a correct point in that contest, and whatever the latest standard has to be adopted, that one conditional clause should be adopted, and all standard should be referred with relevant IS standard. We can just notify IS 732 means IS 732, that's all, and the latest version should be adopted irrespective of any conflict of this thing. The latest standard will be prevailed. That should be my suggestion.
Thank you, Mr. Rajan. You see, we request all the participants, the idea of making this webinar by NFE is our vision is to make Bharat electrically safe. At any cost, we have to fight for it, or at the introduction itself, as Mr. Dominic told, we fight today for a better future. So we will be continuously working, and all of you know, most of you know that the amount of the fight which we are, or the education which we are doing. So we request all the participants, please go through the draft which is available for public comments. You can also refer to IS 732 and NEC. Nowadays, a lot of people know about NEC and IS 732. You also parallelly make your comments and send to BIS, or there are so many members of the NFE available during these this program as well as the previous webinar. If all of you decide it is good to make a common comment based from NFE, you can write in our group, so that probably all the comments together we can make one submission to BIS to seriously review the document, seriously send the W draft for one more the W draft one more for 30-40 days for public comments. These are possible. So we request you to please go through the document and please make comments in the approved format. This is a humble request. So now coming back to the program, you would like to make any conclusion? Goswamiji? Also Janagiraman?
Just what you have concluded is right, that we send our comments and with a request that there should be a recirculation of bi-circulation draft, and we try to align it with the NSE by referring to NSE, but this should be the basic objective. So I hope that the BIS will work on that, and final document will get a really better, good one for implementation.
Actually, Goswamiji, I was going through the document, but for making the comment itself, the existing W draft comment itself, probably I need 30 more days, 50,
Yes.
at least more time, because every line by line we have to read and understand. So thank you very much for participating in the program. Thank you very much for making your open opinions. Of course, as NFE stand, we fight today for a better future. So other participants, Apav sir, Krish, any concluding points from your side?
That's fine. If we can go, because the bureaucratic, we have to adjust a bureaucratic fight before going to the next level. Let us do our best to convince the bureaucrats so that the right thing is incorporated in the code that can really save the general public, general citizen at large. If it doesn't happen, even if it comes out, we can move further. Because whenever it is detrimental to the constitution and the national law regulation, we have to fight it out, even after the notification, even after the code coming into effect. It's not an issue, in my opinion.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So thanks for all the panelists. Krish, probably I asked you as well. If there is a point, you can speak now.
No, I made my point earlier that 233 pages of NBC and section 8 part 2 part 8 section, well, electrical part, and 249 pages of IS 732. So we really need to think about what's gone horribly wrong here. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Krish. So with this, we thank all the participants, all the attendees. So as we requested, please go through the W draft to make comments. Probably you can make the comments in the NBC. We have you can send it to me or to Apav sir or to Krish or to the technical team of NFE. We can also coordinate. We can also compile all the comments and put it as a single comment from NFE to BIS. So with this, I would like to hand over the session to Mr. Dominic.
Nothing much, sir. You almost concluded, and I'm happy to see people, most of the regular attendees continue to participate and wait till the end. I would request all those participants who are very passionately listening to us and making a note, please take an advantage of this, comment that is now open for all. Request you to all to raise your questions and forward those comments in the prescribed format. So BS has given the prescribed format. Those who don't have the draft, please get in touch with us. We can share you the draft. So more number of comment, it will also help the nation. So it is not just NFE's initiative; it is our nation's in the interest of our nation. We need many changes to be done. I'm sure this will be considered as a collective voice, collective recommendation, and changes will be seen in the NBC. So thank you so much as we joined very patiently. I think we did 1 hour 45 minute session. So look forward to see you for next webinars. Till then, stay safe and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much. Bye.